Oh, Spock got a wagon and but I wasn't expecting him to fill out that uniform. Oh, Spock got a wagon. That's all I got for you this week.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Star Trek Discovery Recap Freakcast. I'm your host with the horrible, almost gone voice because I've been yelling for 3 nights in a row, Anita Sarkeesian. And that was really good. And joining me on the bridge is my very own alternative evil universe bestie, Ebony Adams.
And the woman who conducted your marriage ceremony to Mirror Universe Pike. Don't forget that.
Is he Mirror Universe Pike? Because we were Mirror Universe in the fan fiction. He was Normal Universe. I'm just saying. I know you tried to make a joke.
You know what?
Factually inaccurate.
You are probably right. I haven't been keeping up on your multi-volume fan fiction. So moving on.
And that very loud eye rolling you hear in the background is our very special guest, Steve Shives.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on to talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you. I mean, I feel like you talking about Star Trek is kind of your shtick.
It kind of is now. Yeah, I talk about all kinds of stuff on my YouTube channel, but I started talking about Star Trek and now I'm more successful. So I'm going to talk more about Star Trek.
I love
Star
that.
Trek fans, we go where the action is.
Exactly.
You know? So
exactly.
if someone sends up the bat signals like, hey, there's a couple of new YouTube videos out there, somebody's talking about our shit, we're going to find it.
Exactly. Oh, bless you all.
Nerds.
Oh, it's always positive, isn't it? I would just like to share the story of how we recently became friends.
Yeah.
You got a grant from VidCon to keep
Right.
making videos, I'm guessing is what that was about.
Yes.
And you got a world of shit because you don't hate women, apparently, I'm guessing.
That's
I'm guessing.
Boy,
I don't know you that
show.
well. And so then, like, I got tagged in a lot of your hate for some reason because that's how the internet works.
Yeah, because the internet is such a wonderful place.
It's so good.
Let's
But
bother
one person,
Anita about this.
right? But one person was like, hey, you and your friend Steve, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right. And I looked up what you did, and we have a bunch of mutual friends. So I just sent you a DM and I was like, hey, did you know we're friends? And you were like, I did not. But then we just started talking about Star Trek. And now I would say that we are friendly.
That's
what
right.
a lovely nerd meet cute.
Yeah,
Isn't it great?
It's the hatred of the internet and Star Trek, bringing people together.
Yeah.
So good. So before we dive into this week's episode, do you want to talk a little bit about your relationship with Star Trek?
It's platonic but very serious. I've been a fan for my entire life. I am 38, so I missed the original series when it first aired, but my mom was a fan, so we watched Next Generation from pretty much the time that it started.
Nice.
And I loved the movies, the Captain Kirk movies, and I've just been a fan for I literally cannot remember the first time I watched it. I've been a fan of it my entire life.
Steve, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
There is not a right answer.
Okay.
But if you don't give me the answer I'm looking for, this podcast is going to end real quickly.
So no pressure.
No pressure. What is your position on DS9?
Ooh. Wait, no. The question actually, what Ebony is trying to rope you into, just so you know the full context of this, is that Ebony is a DS9 fan, I'm a Voyager fan, and neither of us has really watched the other. Like, I've watched a couple of seasons of DS9 and just couldn't get into it. And Ebony refuses to watch Voyager.
Anita consistently forgets that I have watched episodes of Voyager. I have watched many episodes of Voyager. It is because I have watched many episodes of Voyager that I know that it is not the iteration of Star Trek that I prefer. But I'm not trying to trip you up in any way. I simply want to know, like, if people have watched DS9 and they're like, you know what? It's not for me. It's just not my jam. That's cool. That's
Right.
how I was the first time I watched it. And then for whatever reason, I rewatched it. And then I was like, yo, I feel like, whatever it was, I got tuned in. Our frequencies aligned. So
Right. Okay. So this is an audio medium. So I'm going to do something that's completely wrong, but I'm going to turn my camera on just real quick to show you the answer to this question. Okay.
hold on.
This is a hat that I have.
Oh, yes. Okay. So question answered.
I don't even know what that is.
To the listeners, the answer is
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek.
Yo!
boy.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
you can come back on every week. This is why we need more guests, Anita. This is why we always need guests.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta find the Voyager fans that I can invite on every week. How about that?
Good luck.
I know there's not as many of us, but I will die on the Janeway cross, man. You can talk all the shit you want about Voyager, but I fucking love Janeway.
My video this past week was about Voyager, and even though it's not my favorite by far, in fact, I usually say it's my least favorite.
Are you including Enterprise, or are you ignoring the existence of Enterprise? Because you better tread carefully, because I'm about to disconnect you.
My Scott Bakula fetish causes me to rate Enterprise a little higher.
This is a delightful episode.
Wow.
I am so happy about the way this is going down.
My wife rolls her eyes every time, but I have such an
I'm
attachment to Scott
horrified.
Bakula, and so
Wow.
I can't bring myself to hate. Enterprise is not a good show, like it's just not. But I would rank it a little bit ahead of Voyager. But Voyager, I've
wish
gained
I could uninvite you right now. I regret every decision I've ever
It
made.
was-
I'll invite you back.
it was such a great 7 minutes too.
Yes. Oh boy. Okay.
Wow.
Forget it. I don't want to know any more about your Star Trek relationship. All right. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about episode 10 of season 2, which is The Red Angel. Finally.
Yep.
Ebony, give us the captain's log.
Captain. Wait, were people ready? I should tell people that I should remind people or prep them when I'm about to do my Counselor Troy impression. Because if you don't know that's what I'm doing, you must.
So bad.
Captain. Okay, Burnham is stunned when she learns her ties to Section 31 run deeper than she ever fathomed. Armed with the identity of the Red Angel, the USS Discovery goes to work on its most critical mission to date.
Yo.
Y'all.
This episode was an episode of Star Trek Discovery.
It was, in fact, an
but not
episode.
in a bad way. Just like it was a lot of emotions.
Definitely. Let me ask this. Okay, so we find out who the Red Angel is. And I don't think anyone watching is probably too blown away by this revelation. Like, even if you didn't see it coming, you kind of saw it coming. But
Wait, the real reveal, not the whole episode we thought reveal.
yeah. So
Yeah.
exactly. So when we did it seem to you two watching it that the revelation that the Red Angel is Michael was accepted pretty fucking quickly by everybody?
I mean, Ebony, they did a DNA scan.
I recognize that we only have 40 minutes in which to get the action going, but I just felt like if I were on that ship, I would be in the background being like, I have a lot of questions, and I really don't think we should move further. And we talk through some of the implications of this. Like, we have just learned something universe changing. And yet people just roll with it real quickly. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's kind of a Star Trek thing, though. They learn universe-changing things every week, and they're just kind of like, oh, okay, well, I guess we better do something about it.
Right. No, I mean, like I said, I get it. I don't know. Maybe there was just something about this one. I guess it was the fact that it was Burnham. Like, I just wanted more, or even just more from her. Like, I'm having a hard time processing this. I'm going to do what needs to be done. I will deal with it later. But can we all just acknowledge that me from the future has been coming back in a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger suit? Let's put a pin in it and come back.
I think the fact that they did accept it so quickly, and that it just the episode moved on so quickly from that kind of made me suspect that, okay, it's going to end up not being her.
Right.
You know, like I try not to do that when I watch. I try not to get ahead of it and just sort of accept what's happening. But I was thinking like, okay, so it's not going to be her, right?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I should have gone in. I don't know. I felt like I was walking a tightrope between like credulity and then really wild incredulity about what was going on. But I have to say, regardless of that, I still did kind of dig the episode. You know, I was like, I don't know, this feels good. Is it because I got more, you know, like Giorgio in black leather? Maybe that's the reason I loved it. Maybe it was because, you know, I got to see Culber. Always appreciate seeing Culber. Maybe it was because we got to hear Saru singing and he has the voice of an angel. I don't know, but I enjoyed the episode.
Wow. I got emotionally invested in the episode, although it's definitely not one of my favorites. Like it wasn't up and down. It was stable with some ups for me. But I think that what was happening in this episode is it was trying to do a lot. And so we didn't really they didn't have time to explain any of the motivations or the politics between anything. And that was a thing that kind of was like, oh, Section 31 is going to come in and tell us all of these things that they're doing, and everything is about what they're doing, and now everyone is going to work together, and like we're going to have Saru stare down Leland, which was fucking great. I love that. But also like, you know, like it was just like, let's move forward. And how my husband is a fucking pushover. Like as soon as you see that scene where Michael and Spock are like, I need to die, he's like, no. And then like they do it, right? I watched that laughing because I was like, well, of course that's what's going to happen. Like you needed to have him resist it so that it seemed as more serious than it was. Although I don't think it needed to be more serious.
I love Pike's face in that scene because it looks like the expression.
I always love his face.
Well, he's got a nice face, sure, but like the expression on his face is so good because it looks like he's almost about to start smiling at how ridiculous it is. He's like, you can't possibly be serious.
It was good.
But so
I got to be honest. I did not see the whole episode. I thought it was going to be Michael. Like I was like, oh, this makes sense. She's the hero of the show. It's Michael. Like the show is not necessarily like doing a ton of gotcha. So that was just shock to me. I was sitting there waiting for like a Michael face off. Like I really wanted to see what they did and like what her hair would look like and how she like her personality was. Like I wasn't disappointed, but I was a little disappointed.
I was kind of, even though like I said, it wasn't a surprise to me when it turned out to be someone other than Michael. Like because they went along with it until the very end, I was kind of psyching myself up for like, oh, you know, well, like, what's going to happen next? Are we going to find out how she becomes the Red Angel and why is she doing this? Like I was kind of like getting ready for it to be Michael, even though it turned out not to be.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So we now know who the Red Angel is, and this whole episode is building the plan to trap the Red Angel with sciencey, Y&C, timey-wimey shit. That you're like, cool. And I feel like all of those moments of planning were opportunities for the crew to have like emotional stakes. So you had Giorgio hitting on Stamets, which was that whole thing.
Whole scene.
Oh my God. Hugh says, you know he's gay, right? And Giorgio says, that's so binary. And you're like, what? How can I ever not like this show again?
Listen, I did a full, like, you know, Jim in the office look to the camera that wasn't there. When she said, you know, everybody in my universe is pansexual. We had some great times, whatever. And you too, Poppy. And then my body melted into the couch. And I was like, I'm done with life. I'm done with all parts of this existence right now.
And his reaction was did you
good.
Just call me Poppy?
Yes.
Like it was so perfect.
It was so perfect because that was both Culber and I think Wilson Cruz in that moment.
It was so good. And that whole scene, that's probably tied with Tilly dropping the F-bomb in the first season for my favorite like character interaction in this series so far. Because it's just because they've never done character scenes like that in Star Trek before. Star Trek has had some really awesome character stuff in its many different versions, but the way they seem so human and so, not theatrical, but sort of real and, in the moment emotionally. And yeah, like you would have never seen a character in a previous Star Trek series go, he's gay, right? Like in that really informal way. And I just loved it.
Well, and not just like once, but twice, to have Stamets himself have to be like, no, like in this universe, in any universe, I am gay. I was like, oh, go ahead. You know what, Stamets, that's great.
And I also, like, we've talked about this before, but just how, like, homophobic Star Trek has been historically.
Yeah.
That we know that they're a gay couple, but just having a Star Trek character say out loud, "I'm gay," really was. I think it means a lot, right? Like, and I know that this show is doing a lot to try to be more progressive, and we've talked about the things that we like about it, but that I felt like was really valuable. Just. I think I loved it.
There are those moments, or moments like that where I think, it's because this is on CBS All Access, right?
Yeah,
that's true. That we're getting these
forgetting
moments.
That.
Because I still don't know that we would have gotten that in a primetime CBS Star Trek episode on terrestrial radio. But speaking, Steve, you mentioned like character beats and stuff. I really enjoyed the kind of small character beats between Spock and Michael in this episode. I was really worried when the show brought them, face to face, because the emotions were pitched so high. There was more than a little bit of kind of like, melodrama and scenery chewing to the bigness of those scenes. And I was afraid that's the way that it was going to be, throughout. But we got some really just kind of like quiet, really authentic feeling sibling level snark in this episode that I really kind of liked, it felt
the way
very
that he
nice.
phrased, the way that Spock phrased that shit at the beginning, I wrote the whole thing down because it was so perfect. He wrote, that supposition fits her emotional profile precisely, particularly her drive to take on responsibility for situations beyond her control. Like, I want to add that fits her emotional profile precisely into my daily language when I describe people. And then her just being like, how dare you reveal my inner
thanks for that.
Shit.
Thanks for that, bro.
Yeah.
It was really good.
It was a really good sort of classic Spock delivery too from Ethan Peck, because Spock in all of his various versions has always had that ability to say something that sounds just a little bit backhanded, but he can deny it if he has to.
Yeah.
Do you like this representation of Spock?
It's growing on me. Yeah, I like it. I'm not opposed to the classic roles being recast. So I don't have like the barrier that a lot of longtime Star Trek fans have to like, well, no, Leonard Nimoy is Spock and that's it. Like I love Leonard Nimoy as Spock, but I'm not against seeing someone else play it. And I think that I think that they're like really smart to have this as they've set it up so that there's a reason for him to be a little different. He's gone through some emotional stuff. He's younger than we see him in most of the other versions of the character. So I actually think he's doing pretty good. And I didn't really buy his relationship with Michael until the last episode. And then they kind of got me on that. Then I kind of thought, okay, I get this now. They have this really complicated relationship, but they have obviously some really deep feelings for each other. And they kind of won me over for that, because I was a little skeptical about that up until that point. I was like, I don't know if this is really working, but it's working now.
I agree too. And I'm really liking Spock. Like I didn't want to. I don't know why I didn't want to, but like I think that they're doing a really nice job. And I think part of it is the chemistry between those two actors is really, you can feel it, right? Like when they're bonding in the when she's working out, Michael's working out and they're sitting and talking and just being like really kind of sincere with each other, was you could every time they are in a scene where it's just the two of them, like it heightens the emotional and like the connectivity that they have.
We've talked about this before, Anita, that for whatever reason, because Sonequa Martin Green has had the opportunity to work against bounce off some really great fellow actors on this show, and also some who kind of don't bring their weight, but there have been some really great fellow actors. But for whatever reason, whatever is going on with her and Ethan Peck, like he does help her bring her A game. I think, she's been relied upon to be like the kind of, emotional engine of this show over the course of 2 seasons. And it often works, but sometimes it just feels as if, she's kind of going through the motions because there's going to be some, kind of, big breakdown scene in every episode or every other episode, But the ones that we're getting now with her brother, they feel fresher. They feel more real and more grounded in a way. And, it might be just the fact that over the course of 2 seasons, she's now, like us, getting to know the character more.
And also in those scenes, I think you feel the weight of their history. In a way that, like, I don't ever feel that way when she's with Tyler. In fact, I fucking hate it and maybe yelled a little bit when they kissed in this episode. I was like, no, don't do that. But like, you can feel the weight of it. And I think, Steve, what you're saying too is like they have been building that in a way that it feels more believable over the last couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Like the depths of the hurt, but also the care that they have for each other.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely coming across more. Yeah.
So one thing I didn't get, I thought was a little bit, it didn't sit right with me in this episode was, well, two things. One is that she goes to Giorgio and says, "What aren't you telling me? You told me to trust you. Help me do that." And so she goes to Leland and says, "You have to fucking tell me what's going on." And Leland's like, "I'm responsible for the death of your parents." First of all, Leland would have been very young, like extremely young, to be in charge of her parents in whatever position he was in at the time. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But the other thing is that I feel like there's something like it felt like there was something else, right? That like Section 31 is hiding something else and hiding more from them and not just like this secret that he personally is holding. So I found that whole thing to be a little bit jarring.
Well, I mean, didn't Michael say, after the revelation that, this Red Angel suit was Starfleet technology, Section 31 technology, she was like, there's a lot of gaps in what you're telling me, and we'll come back to them. So I feel like the show itself is acknowledging, there's this tissue paper kind of explanation for things. We recognize that we're going to need to come back and kind of firm this up. Just stick with us.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the other thing, there was a couple of things that this episode was trying to do emotionally that I was like, you haven't earned this yet. And I'm like, I'm falling into it because I'm an emotional human. But at the same time, like that opening scene with Ariam's funeral, like it was intense and deeply emotional. And like even the part where her name is Lieutenant Nielsen comes on to replace Ariam is like this big, profound, like they used time in this packed episode to like show the emotional beat of that. We didn't fucking know Ariam. We didn't know her at all. Yeah. We didn't know jack shit about her until the last episode. And even then we knew that she was engaged to a dude that she loved, right? Like, I feel a little bit like I get what you're doing, but also a little bit robbed of this story that I would have liked to have.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing the same thing with Giorgio and Michael's relationship. Like, the emotional beats between them, like, I am so here for them being buddies. I fucking love them together, but they didn't earn that. And, like, Giorgio being soft all of a sudden just feels really weird to me.
I think it's weird. Yeah, I agree with you. It's something that I like about the way the show is now, but you're right. It feels like they skipped a whole bunch of steps in the middle, and now all of a sudden we just see how deeply bonded the crew is to each other. And I like that, and I think it really works, but we didn't get to see how they got there. So it feels a little bit like out of nowhere, like, oh, now all of a sudden they're all best friends and they're family and they love each other. And it's like, okay, that's great. But when did that happen?
Right. But Section 31 isn't a part of that, right? Like, there's always this adversarial position between them. So I hear you because I agree. Like, part of why I like season 2 is it is more of like, we are together in this, fighting these things in the world and like struggling together. But like Section 31 was always the outsider and the sort of villain, right?
I haven't been, God, ever since I first learned about Section 31, I have craved a story focused about them, and not just, like a Star Trek novel or anything, but something on the screen. And I'm just not getting what I wanted from this version of it. It doesn't seem, and excuse me, because I'm about to be very superficial and juvenile. It just doesn't seem sexy enough, if you know what I mean. Apart from Giorgio, it doesn't seem as if any of these people could think their way out of a paper bag, let alone conduct like interstellar intrigue on the level necessary to have remained essentially a secret, para-governmental, body that conducts like high-level secret diplomacy on behalf of Starfleet. I don't buy it. And I think in a way, but by showing us just slightly too much, with Leland and with Giorgio, they're taking away some of the gloss of what Section 31 could be. And so consequently, whenever they do appear, it just feels like, I don't know, like another department. It doesn't feel like anything special. And so I'm never happy to see them. I'm always happy to see Giorgio. But like when Leland pops on the screen, what the fuck? Seriously? There's no way that dude at the age of 25, 27, 30, whatever, was responsible for overseeing Burnham's parents on this secret mission that ultimately got them killed by I just don't buy it. Unless that dude, somehow lost 80 IQ points.
Also, I don't get why he's responsible for it when, they were on this mission and they had to buy this thing to, the fucking, what did they call it? It was so dumb. The time crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, that story doesn't make sense to me. I get that when you were, I get that when you're the captain of whatever, where I don't know what he was, but he was a superior officer, that you feel responsible for your subordinates. But at the same time, it seems like warfare. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little wedged in there.
Yeah, it does seem like the weight of responsibility is a little bit out of proportion. It's like, yeah, okay, he was reckless maybe. He did something he shouldn't have done, but it's not quite he's personally responsible for their deaths.
Right, yeah, or deserves to be punched in the face for it, which granted I did not enjoy that.
Right.
But it just No,
I love when this comes up in movies or TV and someone is revealed to have been, part of the CIA or, whatever, right? And someone's like, you never told me, I went all these years and you never told me. I was like, yeah, that's how it works. It's supposed to be a secret.
That's why they let me stay in the CIA.
Do you get how this works? That is fundamental to my job, keeping secrets. It's not about you. So,
there was a scene that I really liked a lot, and it was very minor. And I don't know, you might relate to this, but Michael and Tyler are in the elevator after the funeral. And whatever, fuck Tyler. It's boring ass weepy bullshit. But she's really upset. And you see her adjust her uniform as a way to be like, I need to toughen up and suck this up and do my job. And that, the pain of trying to hide your pain, it just felt super relatable, and I thought she played that so well. And that I need to put on a good face in front of the next thing that I need to do. And I know she immediately then got into this emotional conversation with him, but just that little bit really stuck with me.
Yeah.
I also really liked when she apologized to Tyler and was like, I was angry and I didn't know where to put it. And she said, I'm scared. I'm scared of this thing I have to do. And heroes don't ever really get to be scared, and they don't get to admit that. And so there are these little beats that I really appreciated in terms of the emotionality of this character and the complexity of her.
Yeah, me too. And then Tyler immediately ruined it by saying,
everything.
I'm scared too. If I were, I would have been like, what the fuck? What? Can I have this moment, please, Tyler? I am the one who this is about to happen to.
Okay. Also, Can we talk about watching her die and how fucking horrifying that was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, could you imagine?
And everybody on the ship was watching, apparently.
I know.
Like
Yes.
my wife and I were watching that episode, and she was like, "Does everybody need to be watching?
Right.
Like, for the people who are monitoring stuff, okay, but do they need to just have it so everybody can watch, whether they're doing anything or not?"
Right.
Like,
That seems really traumatic.
What?
Like,
It was so traumatic.
If Mike just got on the ship line, communications was like, everybody, or if you want to tune in your screens, we got
Burnham's
something
dying on Channel 4.
We got something really interesting going down. You are going to want to watch this live.
Oh boy.
If you want to question your entire career decision.
Right?
All right. Do we have any highly illogicals this week that we haven't covered? So that's anything that just makes no sense or should be pointed out as.
None of it made sense. This entire episode was just
totally.
like
I don't
a carnival.
honestly, Ebony,
you know?
why do we have a separate section for this?
Because
I feel like the
because
main
you remember
is this.
you remember this started from the first episode of season
The Power
2.
Ranger suits?
The Power Ranger suits. Like that,
Yeah.
it was a step up, like above and beyond.
Okay, I would like to propose a new section.
Yes.
A new segment. I haven't gotten a good title for it yet, but it's Fashion Corner.
Okay.
and it's related to what you just brought up because the clothes really stood out to me in this episode. So let's run through this really quickly. Giorgio and Leland are wearing new uniforms that are like these like sexy ass evil Section 31 uniforms. Is that like shoulder like buffer leather thing? Do you remember that? And then her earrings, she just looked really good.
I love.
But also, do they have new uniforms every week? Like, do they have a whole closet of like super special spy, sexy leather costumes?
Yeah, that's why you become a spy. That's
switch
why
them
I would
out.
become. Like if I don't get some bomb ass tailored leather clothing, why would I become a spy?
So why
Why am I
is
risking my
Tyler wearing Enterprise or not Enterprise? What ship are we on? Discovery. Why is Tyler wearing Discovery outfits?
because he can't pull off the.
He can't pull off that one either.
Yeah.
Because he's
Hey,
being
he probably.
he's being shunned enough already.
Yeah.
If he was wearing a Section 31 uniform.
All right. Can we discuss Spock's leather jacket?
Yes, let's please do, because I was really like, I want that. And
Do
it
you?
looks great. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so there's a couple things happening with Spock's clothing in this episode. First of all, that leather jacket had me laughing a little bit. I like so okay, the other thing is Hugh's suit. He's wearing that
Yes.
like not suit, but he's wearing like he's not in costume. He's not in uniform, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Damn, dude, you look real good." But like I think that historically in Star Trek, we would get everyone in uniform all the time, and there was very rarely, or like they'd be in some weird shit in the bar or whatever.
They'd
but,
be in like wacky future space clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The space
And so it's
pajamas.
kind
You
of-
know, like they always look like
Yeah.
pajamas.
Yeah, the civilian
Yeah.
clothes in Star Trek traditionally have been just awful. Like nobody would
Right.
dress that way.
Do you remember,
so I'm
like,
kind of yeah.
I was
go
gonna,
ahead.
do you remember when Picard would go to Risa and he like would wear that like tunicky shirt and
Yes.
chest out, like suns out, guns out, and those hot pants? That was the best.
And that was relatively good for that kind of thing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Usually when they showed the characters wearing not their uniforms, it looked just awful.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm glad that you brought up Hugh's suit, because I thought like, oh, so they just dressed him in nice looking clothes. That's nice. Like they didn't give him a weird like future space costume. They just said, oh, okay, he's off duty. He just dresses in nice looking clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And people you don't see that very often. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
One other thing about Spock is that the uniforms that I feel like they have different outfits every week. So when they were off, when they were on SOF4, his costume, like, did you notice his butt?
Yeah,
It was very prominent.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Like I was like, that actor has a lovely ass, just not to be too objectifying, but like you don't usually see men in like skin tight outfits.
Oh no, he was
And, like,
vacuum sealed into that
it
uniform.
was, you could see the little indent of the side of his butt, you know, like when you're really fit and it like caves in a little bit on the side.
No, I don't know anything about that actually. I know nothing about that.
Whatever. I'm just saying it was really tight. And they were like, but the first scene, I can't help but notice butts in outfits because I did a whole episode about men's
Oh
butts
yeah,
in
sure.
video
That's
games.
the reason.
And so,
That's the reason. Okay.
yeah, it's totally the reason. But I noted, like, they covered it up. Like, they both covered up his butt with the camera when he was walking with Michael to that fucking electric chair, which was horrifying. And then they also covered up his, like, junk with her arm. So, like, I was like, cool, they're doing, like, camera stuff. And then he turns around and walks away, and they just, like, zoom in on his ass. And I was like, okay. So that wasn't intentional.
I noticed his outfit, but part of it was just noticing, like, how much thicker this version of Spock is than other versions of Spock that we've gotten, right? Like Nimoy, Zachary Quinto, like those are both like, you know, this tall Spock, which we also get with Ethan Peck, but they were also, you know, pretty lanky. But this dude is like he's got muscles, like he's a thick dude, you know? But speaking of fashion, I had to laugh when Michael is doing her Hunger Games kickboxing routine and she's wearing that awesome like Under Armour outfit, which
did you like that?
I did, and I'll tell you why I liked it, because I love when shit is branded, like Star Trek branded, and I'm like, I know that some version of it is gonna end up on Think Geek in like 2 weeks.
Oh,
you
totally.
know,
yeah,
like a pajamas version, and I can wear it. You know, there's sometimes where I'm just like, oh yeah, I can see the merch coming out of this, and I'm into it. I can't wait to buy it.
I am disappointed that we have never seen another disco shirt on the show. They wore it for that one episode where they're running through the hallways like idiots.
We saw it once this season. I can't remember which episode it was.
Yeah, you're right.
We
there
saw
was
it once
one
this season.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, because I remember thinking like, oh yeah, I didn't get a disco shirt. I need to get one.
I got one of those for Christmas. That was on my Christmas list.
Nice.
I might be able to rock a disco shirt now that season 2 has redeemed itself. Like, I'm still not like on board, but season 1 was so batshit that there's no way I would ever advertise to the world that I watched the show. I say that as someone running a podcast. It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, those are my clothing reports, because I thought that this episode was fucking stellar in terms of the costuming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm blanking on the name of the costume designer, but she's been doing amazing work.
Oh, maybe I should call it Costume Corner.
Hey,
call it whatever you want to call it.
I know, it'll change every week. All right, Ebony, let's talk about hair.
I don't have much to say. I'm still just completely like in love with how fuzzy Spock is. I just need him to
just
cut
shave that
some
little
of it
bit,
back.
right?
Yeah, just cut some of it back. Burnham's
Give him a
hair,
nice fade or something.
something, you know. Burnham's hair, same old, same old. Throughout the episode, it's like they don't have the humidity controls set right on the studio. So sometimes she's got really luscious curls. Other times the stuff is dry and painful, and I know she's upset about it. And girl, I'm upset for you. But I have to say, after the reveal, the final reveal of who the Red Angel truly was, you know, I was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense now. And I recognize that these are all fictional people and these people are not real. But I was like, oh, yes, I can see Sonia Sohn having a daughter with 3C/4A curls. That makes sense. And I'm wondering if we will then see in season 3 Burnham growing her hair back out again. That's all I have to say for the hair report this week.
I would love that. Mm-hmm. I want her beautiful, luscious, real hair, or like photos I've seen of, oh my God. What's her name?
Sonequa
Martin.
Sonequa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fucking hate her hair on the show so much.
I love the length. I love that, you know, we have a lead female character with short hair and not like
yeah, but there's so many ways to do cool short hair.
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, you know, I want her natural hair front and center, and whether it's long, short, in between, I don't care. But I just wish like her natural fro could be out there, whatever that
What
is.
if she's like, I really want to get back to my Vulcan roots and do that fucking relaxing, shitty hair mold thing that they do when she's a
flip
kid.
every table between here and Paramount Studios.
Steve, do you have an opinion about Spock's beard?
I kind of agree that they could maybe trim it back a little. Like, I don't mind it. I think it's okay. And I mean, I have a beard, so I'm pro beard. But I mean, and it's just, it's like, okay, this is a different
representing the
spot,
beard lobby, Steve.
It's, I love, hey, I have no lie. I have a picture of Commander Riker in my wallet.
Wow.
There's a story behind that. But anyway.
Are you going to share that?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
just the appropriate time to do that.
It was, I put it, it was a punchline for a joke in a video I made, and I just left it in there.
Nice.
I made a video about, it was making fun of Gamergate, so I made it Trekkergate. And the, and the punchline was me like pulling a picture of Commander Riker out of my wallet and looking at it tearfully and saying, "I won't let them ruin you."
Oh, that's so good.
And I just kept it in my wallet. So I'm very pro beard when it comes to Star Trek. I think the beard is okay, but I kind of agree with you as far as like the actual look of it. Like maybe just trim it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's not the beard itself; it's the beard plus the heavy bangs, plus like the brows and like the side, like it's just a lot of it's a lot of hair and not a lot of real estate on his face, and it could just be cut back just a little bit.
Somebody on Twitter sent me a video that was interviewing the actors that play Michael and Pike and somebody else, and I was like, who the fuck is that other person?
And it was Spock
on the show. It was Spock. I literally didn't recognize him because he doesn't look that stupid in real life.
Well, they decided to go with the Munchie Chi version of Spock. It's clearly working for some people.
All right. What do we did the hair report. Theme song. Do we do that now? Am I ruining? Oh, do we do ratings? I don't even know how this show works.
Oh.
do the theme song. We'll do ratings and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. Oh, Spock got a wagon but I wasn't expecting him to fill out that uniform. Oh, Spock got a wagon. That's all I got for you this week.
Not your best work, Ebony.
but crucially, not my worst.
Fair. That is true. All right, we got to give this episode a rating. You can rate it however you would like to rate it. Ebony, you start.
Well, because my brother of the patented 100-star systems is actually at my house right now, I'm going to go back to...
Humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag. I'm going to give this a 78.
All right. So what, the C+?
See, this is what my brother and I were just discussing. And we decided you can't match it to, or you shouldn't match it to, like the academic grade scale. Whereby like,
it's a whack scale. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you figure like 50 is average, 50% is average, it's above average. It didn't blow me away, but it was entertaining enough.
Steve, what is your rating?
I will rank it. I will assign it a Starfleet ranking according to how good I thought it was. Ooh. So I will say that this episode was a solid lieutenant commander.
Nice. I like this.
All right. I will give it 3.5 out of 5 photon torpedoes.
You know what? I'm going to allow it. Yeah.
Thank you. Which I think is basically what you said, Ebony. I feel like it wasn't a terrible episode, but it wasn't the best either. But it definitely, the end of it, I was like, what is happening? So, I'll give that. Why do I always break down? At the end of every podcast, I break down and literally just sounds come out of my mouth.
Listen, you got through this one, with flying colors. Can we spoil the ending? Or should we?
I mean, who's watching this that doesn't want to be spoiled?
I don't know. Okay, so anyways, Burnham's mom, Sonia Stone, what? So happy to see her.
We didn't talk about this at all.
So happy to see her, right? Like, oh my God. She is amazing. Yeah. And I hope she's in every episode for the rest of the season.
I mean, okay, here's a question. Do you think that she's going to stick around past this season? Like, is it, No,
I think she's going to turn out to be evil. Something's going to come up, and Burnham's going to be like, oh, mommy, I'm so happy to see you. And they'll be like, blah, 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 whatever. Emotion. And it's going to turn out that her mom's evil, or it's just like a
Or
you know,
what if
it's
her
a
mom's
big
body starts breaking down and like can't be in this time because it's like timey-wimey, you know, like it can't, the molecules of this time versus the other time. And then like her face looks like Burnham's face when she was burning up, which I was not expecting.
Yeah.
I just thought she was going to suffocate. I didn't think she was going to start getting torn apart.
Yeah, like burn up from the inside. No, I think it's going to turn out to be like, you know, control AI using a human form to fuck with Burnham is what I think is going to happen. So, no, I don't think she's going to stick around
That's
forever.
Ebony's prediction. Steve, do you have a prediction?
I actually think emotion, somebody turns out to be evil is a really good summary of the entire series.
Yeah.
Like they followed that pattern a few times now.
Cool. I agree with that for sure. All right. That is it for this week. You can join us every week for, I think there's 4 more episodes now. I think we actually did that math, or somebody did it for us, to see what's up every week and what we think about Star Trek Discovery. If you like this show or our main show, Feminist Frequency Radio, you can help us keep making it by heading over to patreon.com/femfreak, where you can give us money. And that will help us pay our producer who edits this. And we love her. Steve, where can people find you when they want to get even more of your opinions on Star Trek, among other things?
Oh, well, they can go to youtube.com/Steve Shives and see my videos. You'll see more of me than you could ever possibly want. And I also co-host a couple of podcasts that you can listen to by going to the website lemmylistenpodcasts.com. So there you go.
Excellent. Go check all of that out. And that's it. Big thanks to our producer, Taylor Simmons. Thanks to Sarah Norales for technical support and Ray Abelar for her design work. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.